Hello there, everyone, and a very happy Friday to you today. I hope you're all doing well and having a wonderful week. My name is Sarah, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here with the Arden Facebook page and to do a little bit of scrapbooking with you. And I'm so glad that you are here as well. As we are all jumping in, it's wonderful to see folks. If you would like to pop in and wave hello, just simply type your message into the comments in the chat, and I will be doing my very best during our demo today to be both demoing and reading at the same time. We'll see how I do. And we've got the lovely Fiona from Arden. She's backstage and she's going to be popping in some links and hopefully catching any questions that I may have missed. So thanks, Fiona, for being here with us. Good morning. Good morning, Susan in Chile, Appleton, Wisconsin. It's so nice to see you with us. And good morning, Barry. I guess good afternoon to you guys. Hope you are all doing well. Thanks for popping in. Today, I'm really excited because I've got some scrapbook pages to share with you. We're heading into the home stretch of the Christmas season. And one thing that always comes around every year with our Christmas celebrations is food and recipes. So you may have some cherished family recipes that you are scrapbooking, or you may have some new family recipes that you're also including in your either in a recipe scrapbook or in your family scrapbook or in a Christmas themed album. So lots of different possibilities there, and that is going to be our theme for today. So hi, Olivia in Southern California. Nice that you have joined us today. Thanks for popping in. So the pages that I have to share with you today, I've actually got a double page spread to share with you. And we're going to be working with 8x8 papers today. And I've got a pocket page designed for us. So you can see here's my recipe that's just tucking into the pocket that's formed on the side of my 8x8 page. Have a look at that beautiful patterned paper. And I like to design my pages in double page spreads. So I've got a companion page that will go on the other side of it. So I've got my photo and my journaling, which will go with my recipe page. It's a little bit tricky to hold those up to see them well. So we'll switch down the camera in just a second and we can take a closer look. So we'll talk about creating a pocket page, how to do that. Of course, I'm using it for Christmas recipes, but you could do it for virtually any recipe or indeed any memorabilia that you may have that you may want to tuck inside a pocket in your scrapbook. So what I'm going to do now is turn down the camera here and we can take a closer look at the pages and we can get into our demo. So I hope this works for everybody. You guys can see this okay. So I've got my two pages here side by side. And what I mean by a double page spread is when you're working in an album, like any book, it's going to open like so, and you've got the two facing pages, and this is what we refer to as a double page spread. So you can, of course, have the pages designed individually, or you can design them to coordinate, which is something I really like to do. Now, with pattern papers, very often you'll get two of the same sheet in a paper pack, which means that you can use exactly the same pattern papers as your backgrounds, or you can mix it up, mix and match a little bit, which is especially nice when you have a coordinating paper collection. And the papers that I'm using today are from the Vintage Christmas 8x8 paper pad. So you've got two sheets each of 12 different designs. So you've got 24 sheets total. And you can see the palette here on the front. And what I really like about this collection, with the Arden collections, they do this beautifully. You'll have pages, because you've got two of each. You've got two, for example, of this red design. So as I mentioned, you could have both of those be your background sheets. But you've also got kind of coordinating patterns as well as bridge patterns. So these two could go together. These two could go together. These two could go together. It's like playing a tic-tac-toe almost. Here's the other background. This could go with this. This could go with this. This could go with this. So you can start to see where the possibilities are. And because they're double-sided, of course, you've got lots of different options here. Just have a look. It's so beautiful. Really gorgeous design. So I've got all my little snippets tucked in here too. I don't want to waste any of them. So that's the collection I'm working with. Now, the 8x8 collection also comes available in a 12x12 size. So if you really like to do a bigger page, then that's also an option for you. I like 8x8 scrapbook pages, especially when I'm doing a theme album or maybe something that's specific to a holiday. So you may have this Christmas scrapbook or a vacation scrapbook or school scrapbook that is a smaller size. But the layouts that I'm going to share with you today can work. They can grow into a 12x12 format. You could also put them into 6x8 format too. So lots of possibilities there. So what I have going on here is my main photo. We'll talk a little bit more about our family history of our Christmas Eve lentil soup. But I've got a photo of my dish. I've also got some journaling on here. I've got some mixed journaling in with different fonts. I've got some stickers in here too. And then on the other side, of course, I've got this pocket page, and we'll talk about constructing that. And I'll also show you this little corner treatment up here at the top. So this is how my double page spread is going to go. I've got some ephemera, the rub-ons, all the good stuff. Another thing with the pocket page, so I've got my recipe, which just tucks right inside here. You can see that beautiful paper there. The nice thing about this too is that if you happen to have photos that are extras, or maybe they're not the greatest photos, but you do still want to keep them in your album, you can have those on hand and tuck them into the pocket page as well. And a pocket page is also really great if you've got maybe those old recipes, like handwritten recipes on those recipe index cards. You've got the originals and you don't want to glue them down. This is a nice way to have them included in your scrapbook without damaging them at all. Okay, so let's get started here with our pages. And I'm going to start with this side. Sorry about the glare of on the photo there. And I want to walk us through this design, and then we'll get into the specifics of our facing page. Now, I do have a couple of shortcuts for us, just so that we make good use of your time. I always want to be mindful of your time, and I'm just so happy that you're joining us today. So here for our page, I've got my large photo. So this is a standard 4x6 photo. I've got my journaling, and I've also got some layers of cardstock in here. So let's start first of all with our photo and with this pattern paper, which is one of my very favorites from the collection. As soon as I opened that pattern paper pack, I thought I have to use this for something. So when I pop down my photo to begin with, if I'm just simply adding my photo to the background paper, you can see it's kind of hard to distinguish between the two. You've got a lot going on here in the photo. You've also got a lot going on in the pattern background paper. One way I like to set the photo apart is with a very simple photo mat. So I've trimmed a piece of white cardstock, a little bit bigger than my photo, and I'll glue the two of these together. The cardstock that I'm using here with all of my white cardstock is the natural white. I love this because it's beautiful for matting, for layering. The white goes really nicely with the warmer tones in the background paper. There is also a bright white in the collection. So you've got the option between the two. So whichever way you go, I happen to have both of them and love them both, but I'm a little bit of a cardstock aficionado, which means that I'm in the right place. You guys are probably cardstock aficionados too. Okay, so you can see straight away that I've got a nice frame going on around my photo, really sets that out. Now I could leave it like this. I can also add in a second mat to create a double mat. So I've got this brown here, which is also going to soften things. It's going to pick up some of the colors in my photo. When you're taking a photo of your dish, whether that's a soup or a cake or a Christmas goose. Um, it's also nice to keep in mind when you're choosing your papers and your cardstock, kind of what the colors are that you're picking up in the actual dish itself. So now I've got the brown on here. The brown cardstock is one of my favorites. It is coffee bean. It's from this collection that's got four different colors inside. So you've got everything from taupe and coffee bean to walnut and cement. I'm also using cement in this layout too. It's one of the most classic colors and it really does come in handy. Okay, so now I've got the two of these together. And I've decided to keep layering with my pattern paper. So I've actually trimmed down my 8x8 paper a little bit smaller. And I'm going to bring in another piece of that coffee bean. So I've trimmed this to an 8-inch square. So it will match my other page with my 8x8 size. And this could go together really nicely. But again, I want to work in a little bit of contrast. So here's the cement. The cement is so versatile. A good gray color for anything, whether it's clothing or some design element, a nice gray goes a long way. So I'm just going to add this with a little bit of adhesive. I'm just using a standard glue stick in the interest of time. So whatever your adhesive is of choice will probably do the trick. We've all got our favorites, don't we? And just going to glue this right in the middle. Try and make it centered. And then I'll flip over that beautiful paper. You can see it's a hard choice which side of the paper I'm going to use, which is good that we've got two in those collections, two each, so that you've got a little bit of choice in there too. Okay, so now I've got my layer of pattern paper, cement cardstock, and coffee bean. And then I can pop my photo on top. So from here, this, you could call this good. This would be totally fine. I always like to add in a little bit of journaling with my scrapbook pages though. And so here I've got the title of the dish and I've got a little bit of journaling where I'm talking about this. So the name of the soup is Christmas Eve lentil soup. I think I just named that. I don't think we actually have in our family a specific name for this. I was thinking earlier today, I think I have never had in my whole life a Christmas without this soup. This is what we do every single year for Christmas Eve. It's our tradition. And so it's just known to us as Christmas Eve lentil soup. As my husband pointed out, it is not the most photogenic of soups, but it is absolutely delicious. So I've got my journaling on here, and I've allowed a little bit of space between the name and this bulk of journaling down here at the bottom. And I do this on the computer. So you can do handwritten journaling, you can do it on the computer, type it out. And that's what I like to do. It allows me to fit a lot of text into a smaller space. I like to experiment with the fonts. This font is called Tippa, and it's a nice typewriter style font that's easy to read. And then I can play with the positioning. I can center things how I want them to go. I can also then play around with the spacing to make sure that when I'm adding in some stickers that I've accommodated for that space. So the stickers are totally designed to coordinate. So these are also in the vintage Christmas line. You've got uppercase, you've got lowercase, you've got numbers, and you've got symbols on here as well. And these are really great for adding a little touch of color, whether you're alternating between the red and the green, or you're going with all one color, as I've done for my page. But it is really helpful if you print this off onto just some scrap cardstock or scrap paper and then play with the positioning. It does save you from journaling and printing out onto your real cardstock and then possibly having the words run the wrong way or maybe you haven't allowed enough space. So once I've got that all organized, I print it off onto my natural white cardstock, and you can see I've got that nice spacing in there. So for adding in my alphabet letters, I've shown this trick before, but this is one I always like to bring out. When you're putting your sticker letters or your numbers or whatever the symbols are, rather than trying to do them one by one and sort of saying, like, okay, I'll start in the middle and then sort of work out, that can work. I find that I myself am always a little bit off. Either it's too high or too low, or it's uneven, or I get really frustrated. So, my trick here is to align my sticker letters onto the edge of a clear ruler. This way I can make sure I've got them all evenly spaced. And then I can kind of play with, do I want it over here? Do I want it over here? Right in the center, up, down. I can really sort out where exactly I want that to go, and then sort of position this down and then roll off the ruler. And with a word that's only 4 letters, it may be easy enough to do them individually. If you've got, for example, I don't know, macaroni and cheese, you may need to take advantage of that ruler trick and make sure that you're able to get all of those on there correctly. So I've got those positioned in here and I'm ready to go. So also on my page, I've got this little accent here. This is an ephemera ornament, and I've also incorporated a rub-on here in the background to kind of be the hanger of our ornament. And I also have one of the enamel dots here too, a little white one, just to give a little bit of extra dimension. So let's do this before we add in our matting. And I've trimmed out a little portion of my rub-on, and then I've also got my ephemera piece here. So for the rub-ons, which I'm a big fan of rub-ons in general, and especially the ones from Arden because I think they just looked really beautiful. So here's the packaging of this. And we've got lots of background elements here. We've also got some smaller accents and some borders and focal pieces. You've got 2 sheets each of 2 different designs. So 4 sheets in total, 2 of this, 2 of this. And you also get inside a little craft stick applicator. This is all you need to apply your rub-on. So when you're doing this, what you'll do is grab your scissors and trim out from the main sheet. Let me pull out one of the sheets here. You'll trim out from the main sheet whichever element you want. And when you do that, be sure to keep both of these layers together. So you can see I've got the liner sheet and I've got the sheet that's actually got the design printed on it. You do want to make sure that you're not handling the back of that printed on portion because it can get stuck places where you don't want it to go. So what I'll do here, I'm only going to use a little portion of that design because I want my ornament to hang right about there. So if I can kind of figure, okay, I only need this top portion here, scoot that away. And then I'm going to keep this liner on the back because crafters generally will try and make the most of every single little bit of rub-on paper, cardstock that we have. So you can bet that I will use the rest of this for something else. So I want to keep that together. And then I'm just using the applicator to burnish that design in place. And I'm going to gently pull this back, and you can see that I've got my rub-on applied right onto the cardstock. Worked out really nicely. And then I've still got the rest of this that I can use for something else. So let me put this out of the way there. And then I can add my ornament down here at the bottom. I'm going to put a little piece of foam tape on the back. And then I've got some dimension on here as well. And when I position this down, I can kind of place that here where it's just a nice accent piece to my journaling and provides a little touch of color there as well. So from here, I can add this onto my scrapbook page. I could pop that down there, but because I love cardstock and I love this layered effect, I've got more of that coffee bean cardstock matted onto a little bit of cement. And then let's just tack this down here in place. Then I can add my journaling right on here. So I've got my two elements, my two blocks for my page. I can overlap them. I can have things tilted at an angle if I want. I can play with different, ways of overlapping things. So for this page, I've simply popped the photo down and then I've got my journaling overlapping it slightly. And so this way I've got my photo of the dish that the recipe is going to refer to. And I've also got a nice little bit of text on here where I'm talking about sort of the meaning behind the tradition of having this for our Christmas Eve dinner. So a little bit of text on there is also really nice. Now, if you are a journaler, you love to do your writing and you love to add in the anecdotes, this is a great way to do it. You can also keep it really simple. You could have just maybe one line of text and the name of the dish on there, and you could call that good. So for our facing page, now let's have a look at how we can put this together with our pocket. So as I mentioned, I've got my recipe printed off here and then my other photos tucked in here as well. So all I need to do is start with my background piece and then add in my pocket. So if I remove those elements, you can see this here. So let's start with our patterned background paper. I love this. I think this is just such a beautiful design. Of course, on the other side, you've got a sheet that could coordinate. If you wanted to have these two as a double page spread, that would work really nicely as well. So what I've done here is created a pocket page using 3 additional pieces of paper. So I've got my main piece of my pocket, which is a strip of cement cardstock. And this is a little bit bigger than 3 inches. Now, because I'm using the 8.5 by 11 or A4 size of cardstock, I've got some extra that I'll just need to trim off of the top or the bottom here. So what I'll need to do is add in some double-sided tape just around these 3 sides. And I like to use an extra sticky tape for this because, of course, a pocket, if you're putting things in and pulling things back out, it does kind of get handled a lot. So you want to make sure that that's nice and secure. So an extra sticky tape does the job for this. So I'm going to have one nice long strip along the side, and then I need some top and bottom. I'm going to use my piece here just as a guide so I don't put too much down. And kind of say, okay, that'll be enough here. And then the same down at the bottom. Only 3 strips. Alrighty, so there we go. And the trickiest part of this is getting the liner off of the double-sided tape. And again, this is a technique that works really nicely if you've got any kinds of recipes. Maybe you've got something for New Year's that you always make or buy or eat or a way to celebrate with. You can also use a pocket page to hold in other types of memorabilia too. So you may find that you've got some of those postcards or some journaling elements, letters and things that you do want to include in your scrapbook, but that you don't want to have, glued right onto the page. And if you've got something like that, a pocket page is a nice way to include elements in a safe, secure, and a little bit more private way. Okay, so here's my pocket right on here, ready to go. And I've also got another strip of the coffee bean. I like to have a little bit of a border on there. Now from here, I can just use my regular adhesive, whatever adhesive you happen to have on hand. Will do the trick and glue that down. And I'll have a little bit to trim off from here as well. And I love how this is really complementing the brown tones of sepia tones in the background paper. And then I'll just trim off the excess from here. And then the last piece is this narrow strip. And you can see as I'm holding this next to this, these are the two coordinating facing pages. So again, because you've got two sheets of this, you can use them in their entirety. You can also cut them apart and patch them back together. Okay, and I will just align this down with the bottom because this is 8 by 8 or 8 inches. I don't have to do anything with trimming that on the top or the bottom. So here we go. I've got my pocket ready to go. Now from here, if you've got your recipe or whatever elements you're putting into your pocket, you could add more journaling on here. You could add more photos along this border portion if you wanted to as well. This is really open for interpretation, as for whatever other elements you may have on hand that you'd like to use. So for me, I had a little bit of journaling that I wanted to add on here. I find that with most recipes and with most traditional meals or dishes that you may have around the holidays, there are always some family stories to go along with them, and this is a fun way to include those. So the origin of our family lentil soup tradition is, I think, because a giant bowl of soup or a giant pot of soup is really easy to serve when you have a lot of people coming to your house. And I have a big family, so it's an easy dish to serve to everybody. But it's our tradition that we open gifts on Christmas Eve after dinner, which means that there's always someone, and it's usually a dad or an uncle, who then will ask the kids, gosh, should I go back for another bowl of soup? And all the kids are like, no. And it never fails. It doesn't matter how often it happens. Every year, the kids will be up in arms because they're so excited to get to the gifts. And yet here comes Uncle John wanting to go back for seconds or thirds. So it's fun to include a little bit of the storyline behind some of those family traditions as well. Now up here at the top, I've got some open space. And again, this could be a place for some more photos, but I'm going to add in some more of the ephemera. So I've got 3 of these Christmas ornaments, or baubles as they're called. And these are from the ephemera collection. And I want to share the packaging with you. Actually, I'm not going to share the packaging with you because they come in a bag and you get so many of these. I mean, it's just absolutely loaded. There are just so many beautiful elements. And of course, you can see how everything just matches really nicely. So I've got them all. Do I have them all? Many of them, or most of them, on these display boards. So you can see how all of these things just go together really easily and beautifully. You've got lots of different sizes. You've got the words on here as well. And everything just comes together so beautifully. I love the lamppost too. So you could, of course, you could use something like that in there too. But I'm going to use the Christmas tree ornaments. And again, I'm also incorporating some more of our rub-ons. I've also got some rub-on up here at the top with this background kind of faux texturing piece on there. So we'll talk about that and then I'll show you this pocket piece too. So when I'm looking at doing my ornaments up here at the top, what I'm going to do is figure out, first of all, where I want them to go. And then I'll add my rub-ons around that. So I've got the 3. I'm going to be working with the rule of uneven numbers. So 3, 5, 7. So I'm choosing 3 of those elements. And then I'm going to take my rub-on. So I've got this one here that can be used for these 2. Again, I'll just remove that liner portion and kind of have this descending down from this portion of border that's printed on our background piece. I'll smooth that down in place and move those 2 over. And then I've got this Christmas tree ornament here. And I have another portion of rub-on that I'll just pop right over here. So it's a good idea to sort of have your elements laid out before you do any of the application, just to make sure that you don't accidentally have one that's going to be coming over here if you don't want it there. Okay, so these are in place, and then I'll just come back with that applicator and burnish them in place. Yeah, so I think the magic behind the giant pot of soup for Christmas Eve has to do with having a big family. I cannot imagine. I know a lot of families have like a Christmas turkey or goose. I cannot imagine trying to serve so many people with something that needs to be baked in the oven for the greater part of the day. So when I say I have a big family, I've got a brother and sister, of course, they're partners, and then we've got various kids, and we add to the family all the time, which is wonderful. If you're not careful, we'll add you too. And so our family is pretty big and getting bigger. And at any given time, we've got everybody from babies and toddlers to teenagers and older people. So we've got ranging from 3 years old to 90. And of course, with dinners, you've also got people who are vegetarian, you've got the vegans, you've got the meat eaters, you've got people with allergies, you've got lots of different um, types of people that you are providing dinner for. So a giant pot of lentil soup with lots of vegetables in it turns out to be a really perfect way to feed a lot of people. And it has worked for many years. So somebody had a really good idea there. Okay, I'm going to be adding in my ornaments here now too. That one here, and then our 3rd ornament. Now you could put these down with foam tape or just tack them down with a little bit of adhesive like I've got. Now at the top of each of these ornaments, there's a little hook on there. I'm going to accent that with some of the enamel dots. And you've got a couple of different colors on here. You've got everything from the navy blue to the light blue. White, of course, is what I've used. And then you've got the forest green and then this pretty red, which coordinates as well, and the purple. So let's see, I'll just pop on some of the white enamel dots here. You've got a variety of different sizes, which is nice. So you can accent your pieces like so. And if you need a little bit of extra help to get those exactly where you want them to go, a pokey tool can also be really helpful. So then I've got my border rub-ons and the ephemera pieces. I've got some of my journaling. I've got my pocket ready to go. Of course, I can stop here, but as I mentioned before, I've got this really cool rub-on up here at the top and then this corner. So the rub-on, I mentioned, we've got lots of beautiful background elements on this rub-on sheet. So you've got kind of a blue-purple, I call it like a sparkle design. It's not sparkly, but it's got this really cool pattern design. So you've got one in the blue, kind of blue, green, purple, and then one here with the more sepia and red tones. And this is the one that I'm using. You've also got the sheet music up here too, which I think is beautiful. So let's just trim this out. And I'll show you how I've used it. I've actually turned it around. So with an abstract design like this, you can have it positioned this way or this way. It's totally up to you. but I knew that I wanted to have something going on up here at the top corner. So I'm not going to put this all the way up at the top, but I'm going to angle it down a little bit more. And the same process as before, you'll just place that down. Because there's a little bit of stick to it, it means that it's not going to slide around when you're doing your rub on. And this applicator works really nicely. So you can do as much of this design as you want, or you can do just a small portion of it too. And then I'll pull this up gently. If there are any areas that I'm pulling up and I go, oops, I forgot to get that part or it didn't transfer, I can always just put this back down in place and continue. Okay, so let's pull this all off. And I've got this really cool design up here. It just adds a nice little touch on there. And then for my corner, this is a really simply folded square. So let's have a look here. Got piles of paper all over here. I have to get down to the very bottom. So this is a really easy corner treatment to do. And what you'll do is you'll start with the square. I've got a 3-inch square piece, again, of that gorgeous red pattern paper. And I'm going to fold it in half, like so. So just really simple, top to bottom. And when you do this folding, you may want to use a bone folder. Oh, here it is, to give a nice crisp line. And then you'll kind of eyeball where the center of this is. So I've got the folded part up here at the top, the open part down at the bottom. And I'm just going to take this corner down to the bottom in a triangle shape. Now, because this cardstock is nice and thick, I definitely want to use my bone folder over here. You can see I've just got this folded down like so. And then I'll repeat on the other side. It's kind of like one of those little paper hats you may have made as a child, like a paper pirate hat. It's the same sort of thing. So it's opening up like so. And this is going to form a little pocket of its own. And that's what I've just simply hooked onto the top corner of my page. And you can simply take a piece of paper and glue it across there and then snip off the sides. Starting with a square is a nice way to go if you want to do matching or coordinating corners. It's kind of like a standard photo corner. So if you start with a square that's the same size, you're going to have the same size going all around all 4 sides or top to bottom like so. And then I'll just glue this in place and I am completely done. And now from here, of course, I've got my pocket ready to go to stash my recipe into. And so I've just got this printed off onto some regular copy paper. And I like using this as a way to store my recipes because then I can always pull it out if I need to. If I want to take a photo of the recipe and then maybe send it to somebody else, it's nice to be able to take it out. Another option would be, of course, to simply print this out and glue it onto your page as it is. Let me bring back in the original here. So I can tuck this in here. And I can also tuck in, as I mentioned, some other photos. So I've got a photo here that's, again, it's not the most photogenic of dishes, but I always like to show a scrapbook and save what else we ate with our dish. So I've got, as we usually have a nice big salad, we've got like lots of nice cold cuts and breads and things like that. So it's, again, mismatching bowls and dishes, but this is true to what we do here. And I've got a little bit of typewriting on here that just says when the date was, and that can get tucked in here. And I've used just a little bit, a snippet of pattern paper as a tab to pull that out. You may also have photos of a person in your family enjoying the dish. This was another photo that I found from a couple of years ago. And it's not a great photo. Our kitchen's messy. This is real life at our house. So I don't necessarily want it to be front and center on my scrapbook page, but it is a nice memory. And so I'll tuck it into the pocket page as well. Again, with a little bit of journaling on there and a tab to sort of hold this and so that I can pull out the photos if I want to. And so then from here, I've got my double page spread, and the two of them can go this way, or I could, of course, swap them over like so. Just depends on how I want those to go. And then this can be incorporated into a larger album with all kinds of recipes, which would be a great gift to pass on to somebody else in the family. Even though I think everyone in our family probably has this recipe memorized by now, but it's a fun one to pass on to future generations. Or you could incorporate this into a larger family album. So, again, remember, a pocket page and this style of layout would be beautiful on a 12 by 12 format, can also be scaled around to work for a 6 by 8, depending on what your album size is or what the papers are that you're working with. And remember too that with the vintage Christmas, they also come in 12 by 12. So all of this can be recreated very easily, either 8 by 8 or 12 by 12. And that is our project of the day today. So we've done pocket page memorabilia. We've done a fun little folded corner as usual. Lots of great ideas for using those beautiful rub-ons and the ephemera and the alphabets. Everything is totally designed to color coordinate and to work beautifully. Now I've got one more little project I only just want to show you very quickly, and it's because I forgot to show it to you at one of our earlier lives. So this is a card project that I did. You can see I did love that paper so much. And this is a really quick and easy way to combine those Christmas alphabet stickers. I've just done some die cutting with a square and a scallop die. I've got some of the rub-on down here at the bottom, and then also some of those little enamel dots there too. So a fun way to incorporate your scrapbooking papers into card making if you're also doing some of that this holiday season. All righty, everybody, I'm going to switch up the camera so I can see you or you can see me again. And I want to say a great big thank you to you for joining me today. Thanks to Fiona for being the magic behind the backstage and sharing all of those links in there. Any comments or questions, if you're watching us live or if you're catching up on the replay later, just be sure and add in any comments. We do come back and read those. And this is our last live for this year. So I will be back in January 9th, and I will have some more scrapbook pages for holiday traditions as well. So we'll be doing a little bit of scrapbooking after the Christmas season there too. So I've got some more fun ideas to share with you. Again, using some of Arden's beautiful supplies. And we've got even more in store for you next year too. Got some really fun things coming your way. So thank you everybody for joining, and I wish you all a very happy weekend, a wonderful week ahead, whatever celebrations you are celebrating. I hope you have all the very best and a wonderful new year. Take care, and I'll see you again in January. All right, bye-bye.